I have the pleasure of introducing Gemma Gregory today. So since 2024, Gemma has been the Principal Nature Recovery Manager at the Mining Remediation Authority. So bringing over 25 years of countryside management experience to the role, she's responsible for delivering the MRA's Nature Recovery Plan across their operations and estate. And Gemma is here to tell us today about how she is collaborating with colleagues to deliver nature positivity on a land holding that's primary purpose is to manage the legacy impacts of both coal and metal mining across England, Scotland and Wales. So thank you very much, Gemma. Over to you.
Thank you, Ness. Right, so thank you very much for inviting me to come along today. This came out of a discussion between Beth, who's on the call today, and my line manager, Angela Lillistone, who's the head of sustainability at the Mining Remediation Authority. So it's great to be here to be able to tell you about our nature recovery work. So I've kind of split this into two parts, really. I thought I'd spend a bit of time talking about who we are and what the organisation does, because it's a lot. And just for your background knowledge, I thought it would be useful for you to understand what it is that we do, and then how nature recovery fits into that kind of great scope of work that we're involved in. So the Mining Remediation Authority, we had a name change a couple of years ago. We were formerly known as the Coal Authority, and prior to that, most people in the coalfields know us as the Coal Board. You talk to anybody in those areas, and that's what they still know us as. But we are now the Mining Remediation Authority. We've been in existence as an organisation in our current form since 1994, so we not long since celebrated our 30-year anniversary. And we are here to make a better future for people and the environment in mining areas across England, Scotland and Wales. We're a non-departmental public body and a partner organisation of the Department for Energy Security and Net Zero, so DESNZ. So our kind of remit really is to keep people safe and provide peace of mind, protect and enhance the environment, use our information and expertise to help people make informed decisions, and to create value and minimise the cost to the taxpayer. So, as you can see on the slide there, 11% of Britain is occupied by the coalfields, so it's quite a significant amount. There are well over 100,000 recorded mine entries and way lots more than that are unrecorded. And 7 million residential properties lie within Britain's coalfields. So, you know, that's a significant number of properties and people who are affected by what's under the ground potentially. And I hope that stat's quite good on the next one. 130,000 properties lie within 20 metres of at least one mine entry. So, you know, it has the potential for quite a significant impact. So 600 surface hazards are reported each year. Lots of mine entry inspections are carried out by us each year. And we issue permits to intercept coal and mine workings every year. And, you know, many and numerous planning consultation responses by my colleagues in planning and our property team. So this is a kind of brief potted history of coal production from the 1700s to 2015, when pretty much the last sort of coal mining workings were being wound down. So you can see there's sort of a gradual uplift, and then you know, a very gradual and slow kind of downgrading after the industry was reprivatised in 1994. So there are a number of operations that require a licence or agreement from us. We still issue licences or agreements. In fact, if the proposed coal mine in Cumbria had been approved by government, then we would have been involved in issuing the licence or agreement for that mine to operate. So they were issued by us over the years for underground mining, surface mining, and lots more besides. And we are still issuing licenses for mine water heat programs, which we are involved in with our innovation department, and various other things, exploration and much more besides. So that remains one of our remits, although it's not a big area of work. Over the years, there have been a number of tip failures. So we have a tip safety team in-house who look after and advise nationally on tip safety and how to manage tips, as well as us actually still owning 40 tips ourselves. There are many more thousands of tips owned by other people, local authorities, private individuals and companies, and lots more besides. But we have been involved in advising on tip failures. The one on the left-hand side was in Yorkshire relatively recently. That obviously you can see the impact there on the mainline railway, which had quite a significant impact at Hatfield Colliery. The restoration work that was happening there. And on the right-hand side is a photograph of the Aberfan tip failure disaster, which obviously killed quite a number of people, particularly children who were at school that day. And to this day, we still own the Aberfan tip. That's one on our portfolio, although it looks very different these days. We're also involved in claims arising out of coal mining subsidence. You can see some examples there of that happening, and these still occur to this day. You know, we are still dealing with projects across the country, and we have a team, you know, an emergency response team and a long-term response team who manage that. We are a Category 2 responder to deal with this kind of thing, including where old coal mine entries have been found or have opened up, which does happen and will continue to happen as coal shafts like the one in the bottom right hand corner there were sort of treated in different ways, and they were closed up in different ways. Some weren't closed up at all. So you know, we deal with these fairly regularly. And as I say, our public safety and subsidence team are involved in remediation of these types of things. This is an example of a mine shaft that opened up in a parking area to the rear of some houses that you can see on the left-hand side there. In the middle is the remediation project ongoing. And then in conjunction with all of the local residents and the people affected, you know, we created a scheme, a final scheme there that suited everybody: removal of the garages and more parking spaces. And we worked with the residents to agree how that would be done. So we are also responsible for holding the mine entry records and also the abandoned mine plans. We hold the National Archive of the abandonment plans at our office in Mansfield in a climate controlled archive there. And we hold that on behalf of the Health and Safety Executive. So you can actually go and organise a tour should you ever wish to do that. And I would say, if you're interested in this area of work, you know, it is absolutely fascinating going in there and seeing the really old plans on vellum and various other things going back through the ages. So and our team that work in the archive are absolutely excellent, and we'll give you a great tour. And you can book that online to go and do that should you wish to. Most of the plans in the archive have now been digitally captured, so we use that information to support planning developments and various other developments across the country. So we have a really good kind of idea of what the surface risk is, and a surface risk mapping facility, which will help with planning decisions, etc. So the source data and the documents that are held within the archive are basically the abandonment plans. Having an abandonment plan was made a statutory obligation in 1874. So, you can see how far back those plans go. And our mining reports that we produce whenever a house is bought and sold in the coal mining areas, those reports are generated by our teams in Mansfield. So what kind of impacts is coal mining still having on the environment? So one of the big areas of work that we have is treating coal mine water, which is the lovely orange stuff that you sometimes see in watercourses if there's been an outbreak from mine workings. And I'll go into that in a short while. So the country is driven to treat coal mine water under the Water Framework Directive. And we have a coal programme in agreement with those organisations on the page there. So basically the history to this is that during the mining operations, water was pumped out of the mines. When the mines were closed at the end of the coaling works, the pumps were turned off and the mine workings filled with water. So there was quite a significant rebound, which has led to mine water issues and outbreaks across the three nations. So we've developed a programme to treat the worst of that where it's needed. So as you can see there's the lovely orange water I was describing. So this is one of our schemes, or prior to one of our schemes being built. We are pumping mine water at 300 litres per second. So, there's significant amount of water under the ground in the mine workings. This is up in the northeast of England. And the orange there is essentially an ochreous material, ferric hydroxide, which forms with air, water, and the pyrite mineral under the ground in the mine working. So you get this lovely orange coloured water, which is very iron rich. And so that's an after picture after we started treating it. So yeah, from orange it is turned back to clear, and we discharge back to watercourses under consent with the agency, the relevant agency in each country, so SEPA, Environment Agency, NRW, etc. So you can see the effects of some outbreaks here, and these are two sites where we now have mine water treatment schemes. So the left-hand side is well, they're both in South Wales, so we've got significant outbreaks into watercourses there, which obviously creates that lovely orange water. So we've got, as I say, I think 78 mine water treatment schemes across the three nations, mostly in England, and we have two very new schemes being progressed at the moment. So we have an active scheme in Scotland, which is a very kind of industrial process. It's not a landscape process. It's done in a closed off building with it's a very, very kind of industrial process with lots of pipe work and tanks and various other things. And then we have a passive scheme, as I'm just about to describe to you, which is based on the landscape on the surface. So these are the green blobs there are on the map are the current mine water treatment schemes that we operate. We have a team of staff and a third party contractor who manages those schemes on our behalf. We've got 82 schemes, including the active schemes in the buildings. And we're treating 22 billion litres of water per year. Actually, I think that's a bit of an old figure. I think that needs an update. I think it is more than that. It obviously depends on the weather that we've had. We pumped a heck of a lot last year, despite the hot weather that we had. And we produce around 6,000 tonnes of ochre. So the picture in the middle there with the kidney-shaped ponds is our Bates mine water treatment scheme, which is on the northeast coast of England. So passive treatment scheme, which like the one I've just shown you. So we use this methodology, which has served us well over time, and we've refined it as we've built these schemes, and also as kind of the amount of water that we need to treat has increased. So we are learning as we go. So we add oxygen by pumping water to the surface and dropping it down a cascade to aerate the water. The water then goes into those orange lagoons that you could see in the photograph. And from there, it goes through a further cleaning process using a reed bed or reed beds to remove the last remaining iron into the reed bed roots. So we're using kind of nature-based solutions. And obviously, from my perspective, those reed beds can host insects and birds and various other things as while they are growing. We do have a maintenance schedule for those reed beds, but in the time when they're growing and when they're functioning as a treatment scheme, they are home to a heck of a lot of wildlife, including in some places some Schedule 1 bird species. So these are the features I've just described. So on the left-hand side, you can see the cascade where we're letting the water flow down it to aerate it. The settlement lagoons in the middle there allow the water, the iron to sort of clump up into particles and drop to the bottom, and that's where the ochre forms, and we eventually will dry that out, remove the ochre and start again from scratch. And then the reed bed. Some of our schemes are totally reed beds, some of them have no reed beds, but all of them will have a settlement lagoon or a cascade of potentially of some kind. So one of the big reasons for us changing our name to the Mining Remediation Authority was that we are so much more than just treating coal mine water. There are we have a variety of metal mine programs in the uplands of sort of the north of England and in Wales and also down in the southwest of England as well. These are former metal mines that have their sort of spoil tips are polluting big water catchments. So we are starting to get involved in treating those schemes, and that's where a lot of our biggest sort of groups of innovation is happening. It's very new tech, and we're working with really important partners like DEFRA, the Environment Agency, and NRW on those programs. So this is one of our metal mine treatment schemes up in Nent Hags, which is Nent in the sort of North Yorkshire, Cumbria, Northumberland kind of triangle of boundaries up there in the North Pennines. It's only been commissioned a couple of years ago, but it's our fifth scheme. So we're a little bit sort of further back on these schemes here, but we're using a very similar process. We've got 3 lagoons there, and we've got two reed beds, which finish off. But here, instead of just using gravity and oxidation to create the ochreous material, we are actually using a different mix of process of bark, limestone and straw to actually kind of remove and bind the metals and then clean it through the reed beds. This is another scheme up in the English uplands at Little Eggleshope. So you can see on the left-hand side the spoil tips, which were used as a car park area for the local grouse shoot. This is basically the tip spoil from the metal mines, which is highly contaminated with a variety of different metals from the mining processes. And those metals have been leaching into the river catchments up there for many years. The history of metal mining goes back a lot further than coal, actually. So that those river catchments are really suffering from metal pollution. So we've become involved in these projects, and they're becoming really successful. So you can see from the left hand side there what we inherited. We've created vegetation blocks to stabilize the tip of the loose tip material so that it doesn't wash out into the river there, and also created some gabion walls there to sort of hold the material in place so it's not just freely leaching into the river. This is another one up at Saltburn on the northeast coast, North Yorkshire coast. This was an ironstone mine rather than a kind of a zinc or other mine like that. Cleveland ironstone mine. You can see how the breakout occurred in the woodland on the top left there. And you do get ochreous material with this one, and you can just see the before photo of that orange material polluting right out into the North Sea there, which obviously is far from ideal. So it was having a major impact on 2 kilometers of watercourse there. And we are removing over 100 tons of ochre just on this one site every year. It sits within a SSSI and site of nature conservation, and the outbreak flowed across the very popular beach there, which if you've been to Saltburn, you know how wonderful that is. So we are treating the water at source and to manage any further potential outburst risk. We also have a metal mines programme in West and North Wales, working in partnership with NRW. There are, as you can see, there are 1,300 recorded metal mines, and lots of obviously failing water bodies assessments there. 30 of the sites were in red or amber catchments. So there are no full-scale mine water treatment schemes to date, although we are working on a number of different schemes. We've done a variety of interventions with our partners, including blowout preventions, surface water inflow and erosion prevention, and those can continue to this day. And those sites are often in areas with significant constraints, designation constraints, and just in terms of how you access a site. One of the recent schemes we've done involved the lifting in of materials using a helicopter. So these are quite significantly challenging sites. So that's kind of background to who we are and what we do. And I just thought I would then take you through into how we're delivering sustainability at the MRA. So I sit with Angie in the sustainability department. We have just launched our sustainability plan, literally in the last week or so. So you can go online and search for that if you want to know more about what we're doing and why we're doing it. Those are the areas that we are particularly focused on: nature recovery, climate change adaptation, circular economy, renewable energy, social value, and a variety of other things as well. So we've got a clear plan of how we bring sustainable principles into all of our areas of work. The images there are on the far right hand side. Our delivery partners have installed nest boxes. That's that's the mine water pump there at the top of the shafts, which pumps water into our Stratford mine water scheme in Yorkshire. And bottom left there is a colliery tip site in Derbyshire, where we discovered a fantastic unknown to us, a fantastic sort of heathland that is slowly scrubbing up. So we've got some plans to do some work to try and improve that. So in terms of nature recovery, I've been in post since early 2024, and I think it was one of the first things I sort of really thought we should do was understand what we've got now, so that we can then plan for what we do in the future. So we had very little knowledge and information on what our baseline habitats were. Any kind of wildlife sightings were very anecdotal and just in people's heads and not written down anywhere. So we spent the last couple of years continuing with the process that colleagues had started before my arrival, to basically baseline and understand what our habitats are across our operational sites. So we've now surveyed 82% of those sites. So we've completed all of our 82 mine water treatment schemes, and we are well on our way to understanding what we have on our colliery tip sites, the 40 tip sites. We've also developed management guidance for all of our mine water treatment scheme sites, to support our operations and maintenance contract. That contract is just in the process of mobilisation from one contractor to another. So we are demobilising one contractor and remobilising another at the moment. So there was an opportunity for us to say, right, okay, let's decide how we want to manage these sites for the next X number of years of that contract, and start as we mean to go on. So we've done that process now. We've got management prescriptions for 65 of our mine water treatment schemes where we have habitats that are significant enough to warrant some work. So what we're trying to do is manage our sites differently, so they're not sort of mown completely. They are mown once a year, and we're trying to sort of improve our nature positive practices. We've also produced management plans for 2 of our priority colliery tip sites, so that we know what we're doing with those. So having done all of those surveys, we now understand what our sort of habitat amounts are across our schemes, our 65 mine water treatment schemes. So this graph shows us what the coal mine water treatment schemes look like. So I was expecting to see lots of grasslands, which you can see there on the far left-hand side. The coloured blocks are relate to the ecological condition. So red being poor, blue being moderate, and green being good. So you can see the kind of challenge we're facing really. We've got lots of grasslands, a lot of which is mown with an amenity cut, and we've got quite a lot more trees and woodlands than I anticipated as having when I first arrived. So that's an interesting one and presents its own possibilities and opportunities, hopefully in the future, for how we manage those. They're currently pretty much unmanaged. So yeah, reed beds, lots of reed beds and lots of lagoons as you'd expect, but a tremendous amount of green stuff, for want of a better phrase. So we have also been doing a variety of other bits and bobs of work. So we've started the process of embedding our nature recovery principles into project design. So this is where we are designing new schemes for delivery in the next few years. So that's kind of embedding those principles. We've introduced some practical measures to support nature at our Mansfield headquarters. So that the top photo there is of some solitary bee posts that we installed. This is our Mansfield headquarters office here. Those bee posts have been fantastic sort of tool to kind of talk about nature recovery with our colleagues. You know, we are an organisation of just under 500 people, so we're still relatively small, but you know, I haven't come across many people who haven't been sort of positive around nature recovery. This bee post and the one next to it was installed next to the two features you can see behind it. So we've had a SUDS, Sustainable Urban Drainage Scheme, installed at our headquarters office, and that's one of the SUDs behind there before the wildflowers have grown up in the SUD scheme. So those bee posts have been the uptake in there has been fantastic by a variety of different species of solitary bees and wasps and other things besides. So they've been a really good talking point for the team that work there. And the bottom left, we've worked with partners at our Cannock Wood mine water treatment scheme and colliery tip site. We've done some work there to start felling some trees to open up the habitat on top of the tip to benefit adders. This site sits just within the Cannock Chase National Landscape Area, and we've worked with the National Landscape team and a variety of local charity partners to fund this tree work. So we're starting to nurture new relationships and explore some opportunities on the ground as well, working with others to deliver some really important work. So as I say, our sustainability plan has been launched relatively recently, and these are the aims in terms of nature recovery. This is what we're hoping to do in the next 3 years. So we're, part of why I'm here is to talk to you, to sort of enable you to understand a bit more about what we do, and to talk about whether there are any opportunities to join up and deliver more work on our land and on our schemes potentially, or where we can contribute to landscape scale work. We are looking to get more contractors available to us, so that's an internal thing for us to work on to help us manage the habitats on our colliery tip sites in a different way. We are looking to fully embed our habitat management prescriptions into the operation of our mine water treatment schemes, and as I say, maximise the opportunities for nature at our colliery tip sites. So we want to actually start to deliver those management plans, not just have them on the shelf. We actually want to do something with them and work with local contractors to do the habitat management work that we need there. And obviously we want to complete the baselining work. So we've got 15 more tips that we want to survey. So we'll be doing that this summer. And actually we think our colliery tips have probably got the most opportunity for growth in terms of nature recovery. They are big areas of land. They're already kind of got some really nice grassland on them in lots of cases. There's lots of bare earth. There's probably lots of invertebrates popping up there that we haven't done the surveys for or understood. We know that there's some really interesting invertebrate work happening on the South Wales tips through Bug Life and a variety of other partners. So we're starting to work with them. And with the county borough councils down there as well. This is our Team Hour tip in one of the South Wales valleys. It's already looking pretty nice there. So we want to make sure it retains those features and that array of species. So we need to be looking at how we deliver these management plans. You can see on screen there. I think we are going to need to work with others to deliver this type of work. It's not it's not necessarily our core business. So I think but that's good for me because it creates opportunities to build partnerships with others. That's something I've done throughout my career, and also to bring the community into that work as well. That's there is nothing like doing that. That's the best way to deliver this type of work if there's an opportunity there to manage and monitor our sites. So 40 minutes, that's good. That's all right. So thank you very much for listening. And if you've got any questions, I hope you've popped them into the Slido. That's my email address. If you would prefer to drop me a line, please do so. I'll be very happy to chat to you offline if you've got any questions or if you want to know more about the work that we're doing. I'll take any questions now.
Thank you so much, Gemma. That was a really interesting talk. We do have a number of questions that have come through and on the Slido. So I'll take some time to go through those. But just a reminder, if you haven't already submitted any questions, the link is still open. So yeah, please do that now. The first two questions submitted are fairly similar. So what happens to the ochre water after treatment? Can it be used for anything or is it disposed of?
So the majority of the ochre is actually it's dried out, it's bagged up, and we have a fantastic innovation team who have been working on end users who can actually use this material. The very last thing we want to do is to send this to landfill. So quite a significant chunk of the dried ochreous material goes into anaerobic digestion. They are looking at sort of end users in the brewing industry and a variety of other, and also sort of land remediation. There's been a recent project over in Cheshire to use the ochreous material in some land remediation over there. So, you know, our aim is to actually reuse in a circular economy style this material so that it's not going to landfill.
Amazing. That's really good to hear. And next question is, well, I don't know if it's a question, maybe it's your thoughts on this. JNCC is working to measure the Global Biodiversity Framework Target 2 on restoration, and someone's commented, it feels like there might be an opportunity to work with yourselves on this data issue.
Yes, let's have a conversation. I don't know too much about that, but I'm you know, I'd like to learn more. So yes, absolutely. I'm happy to chat now or offline. Absolutely, yeah.
James, is that yourself there?
It was me. I was guilty, miss. So, I mean, part of the reason for asking the question is that one of the problems that we've had with developing an indicator on restoration is around data availability on what does success look like and how much is going on where. And the archive stuff that you were describing sounded like a possibility of actually being able to do a bit of data mining and work out where and what areas and what sort of things you were just describing the grassland just now in one of your mine tips, then that is also sort of something that sort of looks like a good opportunity. And if I may, I'll also pick up on the other one that I put in, Beth, and because it links in some ways, which is around sort of management and remediation versus removal versus assessing possibilities for rare species. 'Cause one of the things up in Scotland was when I first started work with SNH, was around an inventory of bings that they were putting together and the opportunities for those actually to be habitats for some really quite nice species like Young's orchid, which actually thrive on really quite nasty soils because they're sort of ecotone type species. So the opportunity to actually think more broadly about how that habitat change might actually work.
Yeah, very, very much so. I mean, my entire career pretty much has been managing post-industrial sites and seeing what crops up on them. You know, pyramidal orchids love colliery tips, and a variety of other orchids as well. So that they kind of pass through. They're here one year and not the next. So it's you know, those kind of open mosaic type habitats you sometimes get, and very open ground, bare ground with very little nutrients. It, you know, it attracts all kinds of plants and also invertebrates as they're finding in South Wales. So it's a big area of work, and I think there's more to be done. You know, we have got a variety of different sites in different locations. if they are of interest to anybody conducting any research in this area, we are definitely open to working with people to benefit the research in this area. Absolutely.
So opportunities for some biological recording, perhaps through some of the specialist societies.
Yep.
You mentioned bug life, but BSBI, for example, from a botanical perspective, etc., etc.
Definitely, yeah.
Great. Sorry, Beth, and I'll shut up.
No, don't apologize. It's good that you can jump in. You know more about this topic than I do, so that's great. So the next question: do you work with similar agencies globally, or are you asked for advice from other countries?
The quick answer to that is no, and that's simply because my role has only been in existence for a couple of years, pretty much. So we're sort of working our way through the kind of the step process for understanding what we have, so that we can then understand where we might be able to work with others. There's clearly ex-colliery areas in lots of other countries, Germany, northern France, a variety of other places where similar work, I'm sure, is ongoing. Oh, I know there is in northern France, and where other opportunities might lie for research or development, or working in partnership with others to understand our sites better. This is kind of still a relatively new area of work and research, really, after the coal mines have closed, particularly for coal mining.
Of course. Okay, thank you. And then I might mispronounce the name of the grasslands here, but someone has submitted. I was also wondering if there are any nice Calaminarian grassland sites on the MRA estate, thank you, and opportunities for restoring or expanding this priority habitat type.
Yeah, not necessarily on our estate, but we are working in partnership on the metal mines programs, the 2 metal mines programs I mentioned. A lot of those schemes are working with or alongside Calaminarian areas to deliver the work. So obviously that creates a constraint, but it also creates an opportunity as well. So yes, not on our land, but we are delivering projects that is working alongside Calaminarian. So yeah, really interesting stuff, and we're working with the real experts in this area. So we're doing some R&D stuff as well.
Amazing, that's great. We are on the last 2 questions, so if anyone does have anything that pops into mind, again, the link is still open. Are there any restoration projects that surprised you in terms of ecological recovery?
I think it's difficult to say on our sites. One, because I'm only 2 years in, but also a lot of them are pretty well established, so I haven't been able to kind of see them as they've progressed. So we are in the process actually of building a new scheme in Yorkshire at the moment, as I mentioned. So I think it'd be interesting to monitor how the habitats develop there. It's actually being built on former agricultural fields, so it's going to be quite different to sort of a colliery tip. But I mean, the colliery tips themselves present massive opportunities. They are developing really nicely, as I said earlier. You get sort of really nice plants and nice kind of invertebrates and things that don't pop up elsewhere on these sites. So I think in general, from both my experience here and also in my previous career managing sites in Derbyshire, these are really interesting sites, and especially interesting because they are in general mostly open to the public, so the public can get in there and have a look at them. And I think there's more that can be done to sort of describe what those sites are, what they offer, and why they're so important.
Yeah, thank you. And then the last question, I think this is kind of a nice one to end on. Someone has asked, is it rewarding to see the environment visibly be improved because of your work?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. And what I would say is that it's not just my work. So there is the sites as they are today predate me by a good number of years, and so it's down to the good husbandry and management of those sites over time. I'm here to kind of help refine that and point it in the right direction. But what we have got are sites that have either kind of self-generated or become what they've become, sometimes through neglect actually, but lots of other colleagues have input other expertise to create these sites and to make them into the green spaces that they are. Our core business is the industrial process of treating the mine water, but the benefits of these spaces for wildlife is incredible. We've got reed warbler, sedge warbler, reed bunting, in the reed beds, starling murmurations in the reed beds. We've got stuff that's kind of incidental but is being managed well. So credit to colleagues who've been doing this way before I got here as well.
Amazing. No, it's great to see this happen for nature recovery. John, you've had your hand up. I don't know if you feel comfortable putting on your camera and speaking if you have a question.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to put it in the text feedback, and my comment was too long.
Go for it then.
So I was just going to highlight we're probably about a month away from publishing an interactive map data set on the DEFRA Esri portal of all the data from our long-term biodiversity monitoring schemes. So the bats and the butterflies and everything else all in one place, so you can then access that data and then overlay it with all your data to see what biodiversity is being recorded already by the volunteers on top of your sites to add to what you know about the sites. So that might be quite useful to keep an eye out on the DEFRA data portal.
Great, I will look out for that. Thank you very much. That will be super useful because, yeah, we've done the habitat baselining work, but actually, as I say, a lot of the information on species that are on our sites is just anecdotal. It's what's been spotted on any given day, really, rather than a proper survey by people who know what they're looking for.
Cool. I want to notice you've got your email address. I'll put a note in my calendar for when it goes. Okay.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. That will be really helpful. Thanks, John.
Great.
Thank you, John. And yeah, thank you so much, Gemma, for your time today. It's been amazing to hear about the work that you guys do. And obviously, we've had some really good engagement. And John and James putting themselves forward there. And if anyone does have any other questions or would like to have a chat with Gemma, she has kindly put her email out to us that Ness has put in the chat. So do reach out. But thank you so much for your time today, Gemma.
Very welcome. Thanks, everybody, for coming.